If you're watching this right now and you're worried about thinning hair or receding hairline, listen closely because this is one of those things that sounds almost too simple to matter, yet it can make a real difference. Dr. Eric Berg often talks about how hair loss isn't just a scalp problem, it's a metabolic and hormonal issue, and what you do before bed can either support hair growth or silently block it. Here's the shocking part. Most hair growth happens when you're asleep. That's when growth hormone peaks, insulin drops, and your body switches into repair mode. But if your blood sugar is unstable at night, that entire process gets disrupted. Dr. Berg explains that spikes and crashes in blood sugar raise cortisol, and cortisol directly interferes with hair follicle regeneration. One of the simplest things he advises is keeping blood sugar steady before bed. Late night sugar, refined carbs, or even hidden sugars can cause insulin spikes that shut down growth hormone release. When growth hormone is suppressed, hair follicles don't get the signal to repair and regrow. A calm, stable metabolic state at night is one of the most important foundations for bringing hair back. Dr. Berg also emphasizes the role of minerals, especially zinc. Zinc is critical for hair follicle structure, immune balance on the scalp, and proper hormone signaling. When zinc is low, hair becomes thin, weak, and sheds easily. Supporting zinc levels through diet or supplementation earlier in the day helps ensure your body has what it needs when nighttime repair begins. Another key point he highlights is magnesium. Magnesium helps relax the nervous system, lowers cortisol, and improves sleep quality. Better sleep means more growth hormone and better repair. Magnesium also supports insulin sensitivity, which again protects that nighttime growth window. Many people are deficient without realizing it, and that deficiency shows up in their hair. There's also a connection between the liver and hair growth that Dr. Berg talks about often. The liver helps regulate hormones, including those involved in hair loss. Supporting liver health through proper nutrition and avoiding late-night eating allows the liver to focus on repair rather than digestion. When the liver works efficiently at night, hormone balance improves and hair follicles benefit. Before bed, stress reduction is critical. Mental stress raises cortisol just as much as sugar does. Dr. Berg frequently explains that chronic stress keeps the body in fight or flight mode, where hair growth is considered non-essential. Simple breathing, stretching, or quiet time before sleep can lower stress hormones and reopen the door to regeneration. What makes this approach powerful is that it works with your body instead of against it. You're not forcing hair to grow. You're removing the hormonal and metabolic blocks that stop growth in the first place. When insulin is stable, cortisol is low, minerals are sufficient, and sleep is deep, hair follicles finally get the message to grow again. So the real secret isn't a magic cream or expensive procedure, it's how you prepare your body before bed. When you support your metabolism, calm your nervous system, and give your body the right nutrients, you turn nighttime into a powerful window for hair repair. Stay consistent, and over time, those small nightly habits can lead to stronger, thicker, healthier hair coming back naturally. If you really want to understand why hair regrowth so often fails, no matter what oil, shampoo, or treatment someone uses, you have to start with blood sugar, especially what happens to it at night. Dr. Eric Berg explains this in a way that surprises a lot of people, because most of us were never told that hair follicles are extremely sensitive to insulin and glucose levels. Hair doesn't just grow because you apply something to the scalp. It grows when your internal chemistry allows it, and nighttime chemistry is the most important of all. Here's the critical idea. The majority of hair repair and regrowth happens while you're asleep. This is when growth hormone peaks. Growth hormone is not just for muscles or anti-aging. It directly supports tissue repair, including hair follicles. But growth hormone only rises when insulin is low. This is where most people unknowingly sabotage their hair every single night. When you eat sugar, refined carbohydrates, or even large meals close to bedtime, your blood sugar rises. In response, your body releases insulin to bring that sugar down. Insulin and growth hormone do not work together. When insulin is high, growth hormone is suppressed. That means even if you sleep for 8 hours, your body never fully enters repair mode. Your hair follicles stay stuck in maintenance mode or even shutdown mode. Dr. Berg often explains that hair loss is a delayed signal. You don't lose hair the same day your blood sugar spikes. The damage accumulates slowly. Night after night of elevated insulin quietly weakens follicles, shortens the growth phase of hair, and pushes more strands into shedding. Over time, hair becomes thinner, grows slower, and eventually stops growing in certain areas altogether. What makes nighttime blood sugar especially dangerous is cortisol. When blood sugar drops too low after a spike, the body releases cortisol to stabilize it. Cortisol is a stress hormone, and hair follicles are extremely sensitive to it. High cortisol shifts the body into survival mode. In survival mode, hair growth is considered non-essential. The body diverts nutrients away from the scalp toward vital organs. This is why people with unstable blood sugar often notice hair thinning along with fatigue, poor sleep, and cravings. These symptoms are connected. Dr. Berg emphasizes that hair loss is not an isolated problem, it's part of a bigger metabolic imbalance. Another layer to this is insulin resistance. When someone has chronically high insulin from years of frequent sugar and carb intake, their cells stop responding properly. The body compensates by releasing even more insulin. This creates a constant state where growth hormone is suppressed not just at night but around the clock. Hair follicles never get a proper repair signal. At night, this becomes even more damaging. The body is supposed to switch from energy usage to repair. If insulin remains elevated, that switch never happens. Instead of rebuilding tissue, the body stays busy managing blood sugar. Hair follicles miss their window to regenerate. Dr. Berg also explains that insulin resistance affects circulation. High insulin causes inflammation in blood vessels, reducing blood flow to small capillaries. The scalp relies on these tiny blood vessels to deliver oxygen and nutrients. When circulation is compromised, follicles slowly starve, even if your diet looks adequate on paper. This is why someone can take supplements, apply oils, and still see no improvement. The nutrients simply aren't reaching the follicle efficiently. Stable blood sugar restores proper circulation, allowing nutrients to actually do their job. One of the most overlooked aspects of nighttime blood sugar is late-night snacking. Many people think a small snack before bed is harmless, but even a small amount of sugar or refined carbohydrate can spike insulin enough to shut down growth hormone release for hours. Dr. Berg often points out that the timing of food is just as important as the food itself. When insulin stays low overnight, growth hormone rises naturally. Growth hormone supports protein synthesis, tissue repair, and stem cell activity. Hair follicles depend on these processes to stay in the growth phase. Without them, follicles shrink over time, producing thinner and weaker hair until they eventually go dormant. Another issue is melatonin. Melatonin is the sleep hormone, but it also plays a role in hair growth. Stable blood sugar supports proper melatonin release. When blood sugar fluctuates, melatonin production drops, sleep quality suffers, and repair is reduced even further. Poor sleep and hair loss often appear together for this reason. Dr. Berg also highlights the connection between insulin and inflammation. High blood sugar increases inflammatory markers in the body. Inflammation around the scalp can disrupt the hair growth cycle and damage follicle cells. Over time, chronic low-grade inflammation silently undermines hair regrowth efforts. What's powerful about stabilizing blood sugar is that it addresses multiple problems at once. Lower insulin allows growth hormone to rise. Lower cortisol reduces stress signaling. Better circulation improves nutrient delivery. Better sleep enhances repair. All of these factors converge on the hair follicle. This is why some people notice improved hair thickness simply by changing what and when they eat, even without using any topical treatments. The follicles were never dead. They were just suppressed by hormonal interference. Dr. Berg often emphasizes that consistency matters more than intensity. One night of good blood sugar control won't reverse years of damage, but night after night of stable insulin creates a new internal environment. Over weeks and months, follicles begin to respond. Shedding slows, hair texture improves, new growth becomes noticeable. Another important point is protein utilization. Hair is made of protein, but insulin resistance interferes with amino acid transport into cells. Even if someone eats enough protein, unstable blood sugar can prevent proper utilization. Stabilizing insulin improves how the body uses protein for repair, including hair production. People often ask why hair loss accelerates with age. One major reason is declining insulin sensitivity. As insulin resistance increases, growth hormone naturally declines. By controlling blood sugar, you help preserve growth hormone levels that support hair even later in life. Dr. Berg also notes that nighttime blood sugar crashes can wake people up in the middle of the night. This sleep disruption further reduces growth hormone release. Many people think insomnia is separate from hair loss, but they are deeply connected through blood sugar regulation. The goal is not starvation or extreme restriction, it's metabolic calm. When the body feels stable and safe, it invests energy into repair. Hair growth is a luxury function, and it only happens when survival signals are low. This is why the keynote idea matters so much. Hair regrowth at night depends heavily on stable blood sugar. Insulin spikes before bed shut down growth hormone, and without growth hormone, hair follicles cannot repair. No oil, serum, or procedure can override that hormonal reality. When you understand this, the entire approach to hair regrowth changes. Instead of chasing products, you focus on creating the right internal conditions. You allow your body to do what it already knows how to do. Over time, this quiet, invisible shift at night can be the difference between continued hair loss and real, lasting regrowth. When it comes to hair growth, most people immediately think about shampoos, oils, or treatments. What they often don't realize is that hair growth is deeply dependent on minerals, especially zinc and magnesium. According to Dr. Berg, these minerals aren't just nice to have, they are essential for every process that allows hair follicles to function optimally. Without them, hair follicles struggle to repair, grow, and survive, no matter what topical treatments you use. Let's start with zinc. Zinc is involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, many of which directly influence CKS they need when repair is most active. Now let's talk about magnesium. Magnesium is often called the relaxation mineral, but its impact goes well beyond calming muscles. Magnesium is crucial for reducing stress hormones, particularly cortisol. Chronic stress is one of the biggest contributors to hair loss because high cortisol diverts nutrients away from hair follicles. Magnesium helps regulate the nervous system, lowers cortisol levels, and allows the body to enter a proper repair state during sleep. Without magnesium, even if you have stable blood sugar, adequate zinc, and a good diet, the hair follicles may remain blocked by stress signals. Magnesium also plays a central role in energy production within cells. Hair follicle cells are highly active. They require a constant supply of ATP, the cellular energy molecule, to divide, produce keratin, and push hair through the scalp. Magnesium is a cofactor in ATP production. Without enough magnesium, the follicle's energy supply drops, which can slow hair growth and lead to weaker, thinner hair. Zinc and magnesium together create a powerful foundation for hair health because they address both the structural and regulatory aspects of hair growth. Zinc builds and repairs the hair shaft while regulating the hormones that affect follicle size. Magnesium ensures the body is calm, stress-free, and energetically capable of performing repair functions efficiently. When both are present in adequate amounts, the follicles receive the nutrients and the hormonal environment they need to function optimally. Beyond direct hair benefits, both minerals indirectly support scalp circulation. Zinc contributes to tissue healing and immune system regulation, which reduces inflammation that can block blood flow. Magnesium relaxes blood vessels and muscles around the scalp, improving microcirculation. Hair follicles depend on tiny capillaries for nutrients and oxygen. Improved circulation ensures these nutrients actually reach the follicles, which is critical for regrowth. Let's break this down further. Hair follicles operate in cycles: growth, anagen, rest, telogen, and shedding, catagen. Zinc and magnesium influence all three stages. Low zinc levels can prematurely push follicles from growth into rest, reducing the length and density of hair. Magnesium deficiency can indirectly prolong the stress phase, increasing cortisol, which can further disrupt the cycle and increase shedding. Ensuring adequate levels of these minerals supports longer, healthier growth cycles. Dietary sources of zinc include pumpkin seeds, beef, oysters, and other shellfish. For magnesium, leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and certain whole grains are excellent sources. However, Dr. Berg emphasizes that modern diets, soil depletion, stress, alcohol consumption, and medications often prevent people from getting enough from food alone. That's why supplementation is frequently necessary, especially in people with thinning hair or early-stage hair loss. It's important to use bioavailable forms, zinc picolinate or zinc citrate, magnesium glycinate or magnesium malate, to maximize absorption and reduce digestive side effects. Supplementing at the right time matters. Taking zinc and magnesium before bed allows the body to use them during the natural repair window. During sleep, growth hormone is highest, stress hormones are lower, and the BOD focuses on rebuilding tissues, including hair follicles. Magnesium's calming effect on the nervous system also promotes deeper, more restorative sleep, further enhancing the repair environment for follicles. Another factor is synergy with other nutrients. Zinc and magnesium don't work in isolation. Zinc requires adequate protein for keratin production, and magnesium supports vitamin D metabolism, which is also essential for follicle health. A deficiency in one area can compromise the effectiveness of the others. That's why Dr. Berg stresses a holistic approach: proper diet, stress reduction, sleep hygiene, and supplementation if necessary. Chronic deficiencies can have long-term consequences. For instance, even mild zinc deficiency over years can contribute to thinning hair, delayed regrowth after shedding, and increased scalp sensitivity. Similarly, low magnesium can contribute to poor sleep, chronic stress, and ultimately less effective hair follicle repair. Correcting these deficiencies may not produce immediate results, but with consistency, improvements can be noticeable within weeks to months. Hair becomes stronger, fuller, and more resilient. Finally, it's important to understand that restoring zinc and magnesium levels is preventive as well as restorative. Adequate levels help protect follicles from future stress, hormonal imbalances, and nutritional gaps that can trigger hair loss. It's not just about regrowing what's already lost. It's about creating a scalp environment where hair can thrive for the long term. In summary, zinc and magnesium are not optional. They are essential for hair regrowth and follicle health. Zinc provides the structural building block. K is for keratin, regulates hormones that affect follicle size, and supports tissue repair. Magnesium relaxes the nervous system, reduces stress hormones, supports cellular energy production, and improves blood flow. Together, they create an optimal environment for follicles to enter and remain in the growth phase. By ensuring you have sufficient zinc and magnesium, particularly before bed, you give your hair follicles the nutrients, energy, and hormonal support they need to repair, grow, and thrive naturally. Lowering cortisol before sleep is one of the most underrated yet powerful strategies for restoring hair growth naturally. According to Dr. Eric Berg, hair follicles are highly sensitive to stress hormones, particularly cortisol. While many people focus on topical treatments, supplements, or diet, they often overlook that stress, both mental and physical, can completely block the signals that tell hair follicles to grow. The follicles are not just passive protein structures, they are living, metabolically active mini organs. If the body senses stress, hair is considered non-essential, and the body prioritizes survival over regeneration. Let's begin by understanding what cortisol does. Cortisol is often called the stress hormone because it is released in response to physical, emotional, or environmental stress. When cortisol is high, the body shifts into what's called fight or flight mode. During this mode, blood flow is redirected to major muscles and vital organs, digestion slows, and repair functions are deprioritized. Hair follicles are small, highly sensitive structures that depend on blood flow, nutrient delivery, and hormonal signaling to grow. When cortisol is elevated, these processes are inhibited. Over time, chronic high cortisol contributes to thinning hair, hair shedding, and even pattern baldness. Dr. Berg emphasizes that cortisol spikes don't have to be extreme to affect hair. Even mild, prolonged stress, like working late, watching screens at night, or having constant mental tension, can keep cortisol elevated long enough to block hair repair cycles. The body interprets these signals as a warning that resources need to be preserved, and hair growth, being non-essential for immediate survival, slows or stops. The timing of cortisol reduction is crucial. Cortisol naturally follows a daily rhythm. It should be higher in the morning to help you wake up and gradually decline throughout the day, reaching its lowest point at night to allow for restorative sleep. If you interfere with this rhythm by late-night stress, caffeine, heavy meals, or screen time, cortisol stays artificially high. This prevents the body from entering repair mode, which is when growth hormone peaks and hair follicles receive the signal to regenerate. One of the most effective ways to lower cortisol before bed is through relaxation techniques. Dr. Berg often recommends deep breathing exercises, which engage the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest branch of the nervous system. By slowing your breath and focusing on deep, full inhales and long exhales, you signal to your brain that the environment is safe. This reduces cortisol levels and allows the body to shift from stress mode into repair mode. Even just a few minutes of focused breathing can make a significant difference over time. Physical relaxation also plays a role. Tension in the neck, shoulders, and scalp can physically restrict blood flow to hair follicles. Gentle stretching, yoga, or even a simple scalp massage before bed can relieve this tension. When blood flow improves, oxygen and nutrients reach the follicles more efficiently, and hair regrowth is supported. Magnesium, as mentioned in Keynote 2, can amplify this effect by relaxing muscles and calming the nervous system. Sleep hygiene is another key factor in cortisol management. Dr. Berg explains that poor sleep habits, like inconsistent sleep schedules, exposure to bright lights at night, or using devices before bed, keep cortisol elevated. Blue light from screens tricks the brain into thinking it's daytime, signaling the adrenal glands to continue producing cortisol. This not only interferes with sleep, but also blocks hair follicle repair. By creating a dark, quiet, and consistent sleep environment, you give your body the hormonal cues it needs to release growth hormone, lower cortisol, and support hair regeneration. Nutrition also impacts cortisol. Late-night eating, particularly of refined carbohydrates or sugary foods, causes insulin spikes that interact with cortisol release. High cortisol paired with unstable blood sugar creates a double block against hair growth. Dr. Berg highlights that stabilizing blood sugar before bed, avoiding late-night snacking, and choosing nutrient-dense meals earlier in the evening all help lower cortisol naturally. Incorporating foods rich in magnesium, B vitamins, and healthy fats further supports stress reduction and hair health. Chronic stress also triggers inflammation, which compounds hair loss. Cortisol is both a stress hormone and an inflammatory regulator. When cortisol remains elevated for long periods, it paradoxically leads to immune dysregulation and chronic low-grade inflammation. Inflammation around hair follicles can disrupt the growth cycle, shrink follicles, and even damage the scalp tissue over time. By lowering cortisol, you reduce inflammation and create a healthy environment for follicles to thrive. Mental stress management is equally important. Dr. Berg notes that unresolved worries, anxiety, or mental overactivity at night directly interfere with hair regrowth. Practices like meditation, journaling, or listening to calming music before sleep can reduce mental cortisol spikes. Even small routines, repeated consistently, help train the nervous system to enter a repair state more efficiently every night. Another critical aspect is the connection between cortisol and other hormones. High cortisol disrupts thyroid function, sex hormones, and growth hormone, all of which are essential for hair growth. Thyroid hormones regulate CLE activity and cell metabolism. Sex hormones like testosterone and estrogen influence follicle size and density. Growth hormone, as previously mentioned, directly supports follicle repair. Elevated cortisol interferes with all these hormones simultaneously, creating a perfect storm for hair loss. Lowering cortisol restores hormonal balance, allowing follicles to re-enter the growth phase naturally. Physical activity also interacts with cortisol. Exercise earlier in the day can help reduce chronic stress, improve circulation, and balance cortisol levels. However, late-night intense workouts may spike cortisol and adrenaline, delaying the onset of restorative sleep. Dr. Berg suggests that moderate movement earlier in the day combined with relaxation techniques at night is ideal for optimal hair growth. Consistency is key. Just like blood sugar management or mineral supplementation, lowering cortisol isn't a one-time fix. Chronic hair loss results from long-term stress exposure, and reversing it requires long-term lifestyle changes. Nightly routines that calm the nervous system, improve sleep quality, and reduce late-night stressors gradually allow hair follicles to regain function. Over weeks and months, shedding slows, new growth becomes visible, and hair density improves. Finally, Dr. Berg emphasizes the synergy between cortisol reduction and other key factors like nutrition, minerals, and blood sugar stabilization. Lowering cortisol alone is beneficial, but combined with adequate zinc and magnesium, keynote 2, and stable nighttime blood sugar, keynote 1, you create a perfect environment for hair regrowth. The body no longer sees hair growth as a secondary priority. It has the energy, nutrients, and hormonal balance to repair and regenerate follicles effectively. In summary, lowering cortisol before sleep is not just a wellness tip, it's a biological necessity for hair regrowth. Chronic stress, poor sleep, and late-night habits keep cortisol elevated, which directly blocks hair follicles from entering their growth phase. By practicing relaxation techniques, improving sleep hygiene, managing nutrition, and supporting minerals, you create an environment where follicles can thrive. Consistent application of these principles allows the body to shift into repair mode, stabilize hormones, reduce inflammation, and ultimately promote natural, sustainable hair regrowth over time. Cortisol reduction is the invisible yet powerful foundation that enables all other hair restoration strategies to succeed.